You ever have one of those days where you're just minding your own business, maybe even savoring a rare moment of peace, and then suddenly you find yourself at the center of a neighborhood circus starring your local HOA president, a couple of bemused cops, and for some reason a tent by a lake? Yeah, that's how this all kicked off for me. And let me tell you, if you'd told me back then how it'd end, I'd have thought you'd been drinking lake water. But here's how one little cup of Earl Grey and a paperback book turned into the kind of neighborhood shakeup they'll be talking about for decades. So picture this, it's been 6 months since my divorce, I'm neck deep in remote work deadlines, and the only real slice of calm I've got left is the patch of lake behind my house. I just wanted a break from screens and emails, so I pitched a tiny tent, dragged out a folding chair, and fired up a little camp stove. Nothing fancy, just enough to boil water for my tea while I read The Hobbit. The world's most harmless backyard getaway, right? But across the way, my neighbor Harold was already watching me with this look that said, "Oh, buddy, you're about to step on a landmine." And sure enough, he was right, because Victoria Martinez, our infamous HOA president, had me in her sights before my tea even got warm. Now, if you've never met a real-life HOA, Karen, let me paint a picture. Victoria's pushing 60 silver hair that looks like it was styled by the same folks who do news anchors. And she walks like she owns not just the street, but the weather. She comes barreling across the grass, eyes blazing, and before I even get a word in, she's declaring, "You cannot camp on residential property." Like I'm some squatter setting up a commune on Parkland. I laugh and say, "It's my backyard, Victoria. Just a tent." But she's on a roll, rattling off fire hazards and zoning violations. Then for about 3 seconds, her tone shifts. "I lost my first house because I didn't understand the law." She looks honestly almost human just for a heartbeat. But then boom, she's back pointing at my tiny camp stove and threatening open flames like I'm about to set the whole county on fire. Before I can argue, she's got 911 on speed dial. Yes, I need to report someone camping illegally on residential property with dangerous fire hazards. I kid you not, she's pacing around making it sound like I'm running a meth lab out there. 20 minutes later, the cops roll up 2 guys who, by the way, clearly know Victoria by reputation. They take one look at my setup, and you can tell they're trying not to laugh. "Sir, do you need help taking down your library?" one of them asks. After checking my ID and confirming, yes, this is my backyard, they tell Victoria again that this is not a crime scene, then walk off, shaking their heads. "Third call this month," I hear one mutter. I wish I could say that was the end of it, but the next morning I get this certified letter, a $250 fine from the HOA for, and I quote, "aesthetic violation." Now, I've always tried to keep my head down, not make waves, but something about that number, that envelope, the way Victoria smirked as the cops left, it flipped a switch in me. I said, "All right, Victoria, you want to play, game on." Enter Harold, casserole in hand, grin on his face like he's been waiting years for this. Over lasagna, he tells me about his son Jake, kicked out last year for a guest, parking in the wrong spot, now living in Harold's basement. Then he slides this beat-up cardboard box across the table, original HOA documents, dusty, from the 80s. My dad was on the first board before Victoria turned this place into her personal fiefdom. There's stuff in here she doesn't want anyone to see. Maybe you can use it. So next HOA meeting, Victoria's running the show like Judge Judy with a discount gavel, calling me out for disrupting community harmony. But something's different this time. Janet, one of the board members, pipes up, "Victoria, maybe this punishment doesn't fit the crime." The man was reading a book. The room gets tense. Victoria's mask slips. She snaps about how rule breakers ruin neighborhoods, how she's seen people lose their homes. This is way deeper than just tents and tea. She pushes through a new regulation: no temporary outdoor structures without 30 days' notice. 3-2 vote. I lose, but as people file out, Harold sidles over. Check the property surveys from '87. My dad always thought there was something fishy about the roads here. Now I'm really curious, so I take that box home, spread the papers out, and start digging like I'm back at my old debugging job. And then bingo. An old plat map, red ink, circling a street called Morning Dew Lane with a note, private road ownership transfer pending, not under city jurisdiction. I spend all night cross-referencing public records, property deeds, everything. Turns out the main road everyone uses isn't owned by the city. It's unclaimed, which means if I play this right, it can be purchased. I call up Sarah, a sharp real estate attorney, friend of a friend. Even half asleep, she perks up the second I send her the documents. Marcus, this is wild. You can buy the road. Quiet title action. Developers would kill for this. Turns out that stretch of asphalt is the only way into a prime chunk of lakefront land, and there's serious money sniffing around trying to build a luxury resort out there. Now the game is really on. While Victoria keeps finding me for pink flamingos, yes, I went there 3 of them in the yard just to watch her lose her mind, I quietly move on the paperwork. Harold acts as my eyes and ears. He tells me Victoria's getting nervous, calling lawyers digging for dirt on me. Victoria escalates. She gets the board to place a lien on my property, almost $4,000, just enough to cause a headache, but not enough to make her look like a total villain. That means I can't sell, refinance, or fight back with my own equity. For about 2 days, I feel trapped, maybe even beat. But Sarah finds the chink in her armor. They didn't follow proper due process. We'll threaten to sue the board members personally. The neighborhood splits. Janet rallies the reasonable folks, and at a tense emergency meeting, the lien gets voted off. Victoria's mask is gone, her grip slipping. Now it's my turn. With the road officially mine, I wait until the next community event, a cleanup day. Victoria planned to show off her leadership. I stroll up folder in hand and announce to everyone, as of yesterday, I'm the legal owner of Morning Dew Lane, the road you're all standing on. Dead silence. Victoria's clipboard hits the asphalt. She calls the cops again, and when they show up, Officer Martinez confirms, "Ma'am, you're standing on Mr. Marcus's private property." Residents are stunned. Some are furious, some are honestly amused. But Victoria, she looks like she just realized the monster under her bed is real. By sunset, I'm putting up concrete barriers at the end of the street legally. Within hours, the neighborhood is in chaos. Cars piling up, people calling and pleading. Victoria herself calls me, voice trembling, demanding I reopen the road. Sorry, can't help you. But the icing on the cake. That same week, I get a call from Sarah. The resort developers want to buy access for $2.5 million, and all the current residents get permanent protected rights to the road. Everybody wins. Well, except maybe Victoria. On the evening I sign the contract, Victoria shows up at my gate. Not yelling, not raging, but holding an apple pie. I owe you an apology and a thank you, she says. For the first time, we sit by the lake together in silence. She admits she was just scared of losing everything again, tried to protect everyone by controlling everything. Sometimes protecting people means letting them be free, she says. And she's right. She steps down as HOA president. Harold takes over, promising real community, and his son finally moves out on his own. The resort goes up, the neighborhood thrives, and my old tent by the lake gets a little plaque. Sometimes the smallest act of defiance leads to the biggest change. So if you ever find yourself up against some power-hungry HOA or just anyone who thinks the rules only run one way, remember, sometimes the quiet ones know where all the real levers are hidden. And sometimes, just sometimes, the tent guy walks away with the keys to the kingdom. So tell me, what do you think was blocking the road, justice or revenge? Does standing up to power make you a hero or a troublemaker? Drop your thoughts below hit, like if you've ever tangled with an HOA, and share your wildest neighborhood stories. Who knows, maybe your cup of tea is the start of the next great shakeup.